Welcome. You're listening to Coffee Break with Purdue Engineering, a podcast production from the Office of Future Engineers at Purdue University. In this podcast series, we discuss the many programs, majors, and opportunities found in Purdue Engineering through conversational interviews with staff, faculty, alumni, and current students. We hope you enjoy our show and it helps answer some of your questions about what it's like to be an engineering student at Purdue. All right. Morning, Billy. How you doing? Where are you from again?
Yeah, so I'm from Papakura in New Zealand. So I've lived in the US now for 4 years. But yeah, what is it? Second, third week of school back. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Very exciting. What are some of your hobbies to do around campus and stuff?
Oh, around campus. So at the moment, it's winter break. So it's a bit cold to go. So not winter break, but yeah, it's a bit winter, so a bit cold outside. But you know, a lot of the time I love running. That's sort of my big thing.
Yeah.
Music, so a little bit of DJing, and then in Indy for Motorsports Engineering. So love cars, IndyCar. Just cars in general, right?
Yeah.
So a bit of sport. So yeah, getting into basketball. So yeah, rugby's pretty popular in New Zealand, but not a lot of that here. So sort of just trying to get into a few of the US sports as well.
Yeah,
That's really
I think
cool.
Me and Calvin are both big into running as well.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
I'll brave the real cold temps to go run all the time. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Did you run in high school?
I never did it as a sort of sport.
Okay.
I was always cycling, and then my background, I was actually I was a race car driver for a little bit.
Oh,
so
wow.
Grew up karting, and then 2020 won the New Zealand Formula Ford Championship.
Oh my
and
goodness.
that's how I kind of got started in the US. So I moved to the US in 2021 after doing a series called the Cash Toyota Racing Series, which is sort of like an F3 level. New Zealand Grand Prix went really well in those races, so decided to move to Road to Indy, was what it was called at the time. So yeah, raced in that for 2 years, and then sort of frizzled out. But yeah, so racing's always been sort of my passion, and moving. That's the sort of the reason why I'm in the US now.
Cool.
That's
So
amazing.
what led you to decide to get the Motorsports Engineering degree from Purdue?
Yeah, well, sort of like I touched on, I lived in the US for 2 years racing, so you know that was sort of level 3 IndyCar at the time, and what that sort of enabled me to do is I sort of started my network. So I moved over here at 18. You know, you're an adult. Kind of everybody I started to know was around Indianapolis, and when it comes to motorsport, you know, Indianapolis, it is the Hollywood of racing. So
That's for sure.
Yeah. What better way to sort of to do a degree that you're interested in, and sort of stay in a place where you've met people, been able to network a little bit. So yeah, you know, going from a driver to engineering, there's a bit of a translation. It is quite different. You know, I'd argue that engineering is a little bit harder than driving. The drivers get all the glory. But yeah, just sort of built that little bit of a network, and found comfort here, and just sort of building over that through my degree.
That's really cool. Well, welcome to this week's episode, where, if you haven't picked up already, we're going to be discussing Purdue's Motorsports Engineering degree down in our Purdue, Indianapolis location. I'm one of your hosts, Calvin Given, a current grad student in electrical engineering from Lakewood, Colorado.
Yeah, and I'm Bryan Akamadi, a current sophomore in electrical engineering as well, and I'm from Miami, Florida. And some things I like to do on campus is I'm a part of the National Society of Black Engineers, the Minority in Engineering program, and I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. And this week we are joined by Billy Frazer.
And so do you do any clubs or anything involvement school-wise?
Yeah, so I last year I was in the motorsport club, a part of campus, and then I'm also an RA at Luxon Capital. So yeah, walk down here before this. So yeah, I'm an RA, but then like sort of touched on, big passions in racing and motorsport and fitness. So that takes up a lot of my time. You know, and nobody ever talks about classes when it comes to what are you interested in. So yeah, spent a lot of time doing homework and normal sort of student stuff, and then a little bit of DJing here and there, but that's just a bit of a hobby right now.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, well, I'm also actually an RA down at the West Lafayette campus.
Oh,
so
awesome.
We'll get into the differences.
Yeah.
What do you like about being an RA?
I sort of like you've got the group of incoming students. I know myself. I came a long way from home to be here, so I guess you just sort of you're a support person, and then it is it is a city. It can be a little bit daunting. So just sort of trying to encourage my students to go out and explore. So I think the 2 themes I've done for my floors, every semester you got to do a floor, and every month you got to do a bulletin board. So I always try to just have information on there about local coffee shops, sports, Indy Fuel, Pacers, the Colts, their season's done. WWE was this weekend. So just trying to constantly keep the group meet, keep the chat going, and just sort of give people things to do if they need it. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're fulfilling that role just right.
Yeah,
really
appreciate
cool.
it.
That echo why you like being an RA, Bryan?
He just topped everything he said and more. Yeah.
So do you mind just briefly discussing the Motorsports Engineering degree here at Purdue? Like what's involved? Are there concentrations? And what can you do with it after you graduate?
Yeah, for sure. So, well, I'll start off by saying I really enjoy it. I think that
cool. That's good. That's good.
That's an important start. So, it is quite similar to mechanical engineering in a lot of ways. So there's about 30 credits difference between a mechanical engineering degree and a motorsport engineering degree. But where those 30 credits come in is it is that specialization. So you're going into different sort of motorsport specific classes, being looking a little bit more. I know you guys are electrical engineers, so it's just certain softwares that are more important. A little bit of circuitry, looking at pinouts, different sensors. So those are sort of ones that I'm seeing at the moment. But then you've also got sort of helping people understand the sport. So business sort of orientated classes, and towards the end practicum. So a little bit more hands on. It is really important to sort of understand what the different roles are, but I think you can sort of do anything with it. You're touching on aerodynamics, different design classes, and sort of like I mentioned, quite similar to mechanical. So that the idea being you've kind of got this concentration in motorsport, maybe a little bit more sort of performance orientated in a lot of ways, but you can still go out. You're still doing manufacturing, you're still doing sort of these more broad topics that does just allow you a little bit of freedom in that as well.
Yeah, really cool.
That's
and
awesome.
so does that include, or I guess what do you want to do specifically? Do you have a career path that you'd like to end up at?
Yeah, no, great question. So what I really like about motorsport is it's engineering, but you've still got that sport aspect. So I really enjoy the fact that you've got a driver, you've got a team, you've got mechanics. Everybody's sort of got a different role, but it's still a sport. So one day I quite like the junior side of driving as well. I spend a lot of time doing that myself, and you could tell like a sports coach, right? A good sports coach can sort of take you one way, and a bad sports coach can take you another way.
Yeah.
And I think motorsport engineering and sort of crew chief, race engineer, that you kind of in that coach position in a lot of ways, especially in the junior stuff. So I can see myself being a race engineer one day. Going racetrack to racetrack, working with younger drivers and seeing what sort of where they mold out. But so whether that's in the United States hopefully or Europe, those are sort of where I'm looking at the moment.
That sounds awesome.
That's really cool.
That's really cool. And I guess my question is, what are some of your favorite courses you've taken in motorsports engineering or mechanical engineering? The great question. I think the business of motorsport class, that was the first semester of my sophomore year. That was great. And what I really appreciated about that class is every lecture you had a different guest speaker come in and talk to you. And they weren't all engineers, which was pretty neat. You had attorneys, you had promoters, you had mechanics, you had race engineers, you had team owners, and they sort of all came in and gave their different perspectives. And then I guess like any engineering class you've got, or engineering degree, you sort of got your more broad classes. So we're going into a few different thermodynamic classes. So I quite enjoy that stuff as well. It is pretty cool to sort of see how you can take an idea of watching a YouTube video or I want to be an engineer one day, and then you've got these classes now where you're sort of starting to see it become a little bit more real. So I quite like those sort of more classes where you feel like you're discovering things as well. And it's really awesome that they bring in guest speakers that are in the field already. I feel like that just gives you guys so much more of an advantage. Yeah,
for sure. And especially on that sort of career side as well, it's an email, it's a name. There's a great network of alumni. So, although Purdue University Indianapolis is fairly new, there is 16 years of the motorsport degree. So you do have these alumni. And, that was quite a few, majority of the guest speakers were those. But not necessarily all of them. And it was just really cool to see that there's pretty cool framework here, although this campus is new.
Yeah, and does that network of alumni actually help you with people, or do they just kind of exist? Do they help you
for sure.
get jobs or anything?
Yeah, I think for sure. So I know that after I graduate, I've met some great people now where I'm fairly confident that I can move into a role. Not necessarily, you're not going to move in straight into the role you want. So sort of how it works is you sort of start off as like systems engineering. So it's sort of more like a mechanic, but you're still an engineer, so a lot more hands-on. So I'm pretty excited to sort of go through that process. And what I quite like about the alumni framework as well is you're not necessarily getting a job from I know this person, I'm going to get a job, because that's just sometimes how motorsport works, sometimes how it doesn't. But you get to see sort of different pathways and different options as well. So, going back to the Motorsport Club, that's what I really enjoyed about it. Although I got this hands-on work, Purdue Grand Prix, all this good stuff, you kind of got to see where, older students were in terms of, this is now when they're getting an internship, this is the kind of roles that they're doing. So it just sort of gave me a chance to not compare where I was, but just sort of reflect and see what kind of options I could be looking at and what things work and what things don't. Yeah, but I guess everybody's journey is just a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's one of the funny things I've found just through talking to various people as well, that there's just not a linear path to get exactly where you want to go.
Yeah.
It can be windy, it can be curvy, and everyone takes a different one, but you can end up in some really cool places.
Yeah, for sure. My case is Indianapolis.
Yeah. And so you mentioned Motorsports Club. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what is that? What do you guys do? Yeah,
so I'm a junior now. I was in that club for my freshman and sophomore year. And I liked it as a freshman because, it was just like a great way to meet people, like a lot of clubs. And that's now they've got 4 or 5 different go-karts there that, they're working on servicing, getting ready for Purdue Grand Prix testing, although this is the first year of Purdue and Indianapolis, this campus always did have a pretty strong presence in the club. I guess they were wearing red rather than black and gold, but it was that. But so that club's been around for a while, and that moved in. There's 2 or 3 cars that you can work on. There's a sim like I think it's like a 70,000 US, if not more, simulator in the basement of this building. So pretty cool.
And you said they race at the Grand Prix, right?
Yeah. Awesome. So four karts in the Grand Prix. I think last year our best kart was 4th, but
nice.
You see it coming back stronger. There's a bit of vengeance there, and but I really like the social side of it and sort of the points I touched on before. But they're working on karts, they're working on cars. You got the simulator aspect, and just that really good community as well.
Yeah, I found clubs really helpful to make a community when I first came here. I was from Colorado, didn't know anyone coming into Purdue from high school, and it was the clubs that really helped me find a community and make it feel like Purdue was home.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and I guess a question I have about kind of motorsports engineering, and I don't know if you've done any research in it, but do students often get in research through motorsports professors or?
There's sort of 2. I know previously a few people that have done research, and I guess as part of your capstone, although not research, there's sort of elements that kind of go into discovering, new products. So I believe the only example I can think of now, off the top of my head, was I had a friend who's graduating, I think next semester, or if not last semester, and they were working on driver systems for paraplegics, so hand control systems for drivers, and it wasn't necessarily technology that wasn't there, but they're putting it together and working on braking systems as well. So what happens if the brake fails or something like that on the steering wheel? What's your security and how do you sort of stop that from happening? So it's quite a cool project. Awesome, so although not necessarily research, quite cool. But I'm excited. You do have faculty. You are still doing fluids. You are still doing those different classes. So there's all those mechanical engineering aspects of the research as well.
Yep. It's awesome they're doing these products because they are important no matter what. And figuring out those safety hazards so people don't get hurt. It's really important.
Sure. Yeah, and are there other opportunities to kind of get your hands dirty and actually get working on, say, a car or do the simulator with regards to your coursework?
Yeah, so I know later in your degree you do practicum. So that's you assigned a task, whether that's sort of design into manufacturing. But yeah, the idea being, you start working with different tools. There's a property part of the campus, the Stutz building at the moment, and that's where a lot of the manufacturing stuff is based. So 5-10 minute walk. I know Purdue has also partnered with Dallara, which is one of the biggest race car manufacturers in the world. They have a presence in Speedway, so I think eventually that'll move from the Stutz building to Dallara, which is pretty exciting. Hopefully by the time I get there, in a year or so. But yeah, so there's sort of that's the main part is those practicum classes, and then whatever you sort of come up with your capstone as well.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, and then I guess kind of getting away from motorsports, how is it being a Purdue student and just a student in general and living on the Indianapolis campus? How do you like that?
It's good. It's a bit cold for me at the moment, but no, I'm really enjoying it. I like the aspect of it being a city. I came from a pretty cool city in Auckland, so I like that sort of the ability to go out and explore. Been up to West Lafayette a few times, pretty awesome. Easy. But yeah, it's great. You sort of got access to the best of both worlds. In my opinion, you can move around, get a bit of the sort of more college, I'd say like college experience. But then if you are sort of more like me and I don't want to say more career orientated, but I just love having those opportunities to go out and go to races, meet people and start networking
in the field and stuff.
And that's something you can really do here from day one. It's pretty cool. Like I touched on it. It is the Hollywood of Hollywood of motorsport, and there's a really good feel here. Going out, whether that's the I like running. You've got a few marathons around. Whether that's Carmel or the one downtown in May. So just getting around, different events, different shops. I'm really enjoying it here.
Have you done any of the marathons?
I did the one in May, which is a mini. So and then I did the full in, I believe that was.
It was like November 10th.
November, yeah. So I did those two. And just both really good events. Few friends, you're running along the canal. You got what's it called? It's there's a trail, Monon Trail, which is I didn't do it's very very long. It sort of goes from straight from here, about 40 miles north, and it goes to like 2 or 3 different towns. It goes to Broad Ripple downtown. Starts off as the cultural trail downtown, so which is it goes to the different museums and that. So. It was pretty easy to do long runs. You got these different things to go to. You can stop. You can go to a coffee shop. Contemplate whether you want to Uber home or something. But it was just a nice. It's a nice feel, especially in that sort of like springtime. It was pretty cool place to sort of get involved and do some miles.
Yeah, awesome. And are there other places you like to hang around the city? Cool spots that maybe you wouldn't know about otherwise?
I don't want to give too many of my spots away,
well, maybe just one or two.
Yeah. Okay. Well, So I spend quite a lot of time at just different coffee stops downtown. One in particular, Caffeine. It's what it's called. And big thing. I pride myself on my New Zealand's coffee. There's a lot of things in the States that are cheaper than New Zealand, but one of them's not coffee. So we got really good coffee, and they serve it in a mug. It's really cool atmosphere, ambience. So I'll head there. Otherwise, IMAX. We've done a few RA events there recently, and it's the biggest one in Indiana, and it's right on the canal, but. Nobody seemed to know about it, and it was so BGR. We went through it. I'm like, this is awesome. So a week ago we had one of our RA events there, and just everyone's sleeping on it. And I'm like, that's pretty cool.
How did your residents feel about BGR? How was that? Did they enjoy it as much? Because a lot of people at the West Lafayette campus, me included, I really enjoyed BGR and it helped a lot. So I just kind of wonder how that.
So
and I'm just gonna cut in real quick. BGR is Boiler Gold Rush. That's our freshman orientation program. For anyone who doesn't know.
Yeah, good call.
We use acronyms so frequently.
Yeah, sure.
Half the time we don't even remember what they stand for.
Yeah, so I worked with Boiler Gold Rush over the last summer break and really enjoyed it. And so it was the first year for it in Indianapolis. So again, trying to find different events, different things to do, sort of plan out the week. But everybody seemed to really enjoy it.
That's good.
And what was cool about it wasn't just the students that enjoyed it, all of the team leaders. They loved it as well, which was great. So it was pretty cool to, Purdue and Indy had only been around, officially for a month or so. People obviously there's been like work behind the scenes and that, but only been about a month, and then you've got all these people coming in, a bit of the unknown, the team leaders, but yes, created a pretty strong community pretty quickly. So excited to see how that program grows. But everybody seemed to really enjoy it, and it started the year off really well.
That's awesome. That's really good.
That's really cool. I guess, are there do you go to the Speedway often, like with classes or anything, or do you just go for fun mostly?
The Speedway, I guess that sort of starts around May, so a little bit cold at the moment. There's a really cool museum there. We sort of in my earlier years, like I touched on that business motorsport class, we got out to a few different race shops. Delara was another one, I guess in Speedway, the town. But the track itself, pretty special. The race, the Indy 500, there's not very many places where you can see 300,000 people at the same time, as well as your favorite DJ and the snake pit. So it's quite a cool atmosphere, and so there'll be 2 or 3 sort of events going on. And I just really encouraged my students from day one. It's like, if there's an event, just go and talk to people. It was pretty cool, and just sort of seeing how excited everyone was. I met this person, met that person, and it's like, sort of sharing your own experiences. But I'll get there maybe May, April. April sort of when the testing will start for the 500. But and then it'd be like by the start of May, if you wanted to, you could go out there every day and probably see a car on track. Or
that's awesome.
Pretty good. Pretty cool place, and biggest racetrack, biggest single day sporting event in the world.
Yeah. And then, I guess my next question is how has Purdue satisfied your love for motorsports engineering, racing, and how has it kind of helped set up your future for what you want to do?
I mean, I was very fortunate. I felt that I had quite a rich experience already in racing before I moved in. But that doesn't mean that I didn't learn. I learned stuff from day one, and that's what's quite cool about this program is, you can have people come in at all sort of experience levels. Like, you don't necessarily know what your degree is going to be in, but that's just a nice way to sort of start off. Starting from day one and encouraging everybody. So I think I'm satisfied with my experience so far. It's been really enjoyable and learning a lot, which I think is the key. Finding that balance between between motorsport as well as realizing that it is still an engineering degree. Motorsport motorsport. It's almost a term now that can get thrown around quite easily. But at the core, it is an engineering degree. So you do have to take those fundamental classes. It's it's that similar first year for all engineering degrees, and I just think that sometimes people can forget that. But it is, you still have to do all those core engineering classes, and not necessarily. It's not a mechanic degree. It's a fully fledged bachelor's, which is pretty special.
That's awesome. And I guess I feel like the only thing we haven't quite touched on yet is internships. Do you have an internship lined up for the summer, or did you have one last summer?
Yeah, so just working through that now, and I've been fortunate with a few of my connections. So excited to sort of see what happens in the future. I'd love to get into some systems engineering stuff. So I've got my eyes on that with the team HMD Motorsport. They're in Indy next. So just hopefully can get something together to start that off for next semester, or sort of through their race season. So which is another ideal part about it is, I think they sort of start most race series in the US sort of start February, March, but by the time it's full ramp, it's our summer, which is great. So a lot of opportunity for students in there. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you know of a bunch of people who have done internships? Or?
Yeah, for sure. And like I touched on with the Motorsport Club, you get to see that quite easily. The faculty here have been really helpful. The alumni network. So a lot of people will get into roles. And I just I encourage my students, or the people that I'm close with, is just doesn't matter what the role is. It's just to get in.
For sure.
Because you like in any engineering, you're not going to go in and get your favorite job straight away. You could be cleaning tires, you could be mechanicking even, and I sort of want to get into a role to start off with where I feel that I am learning, a lot of stuff, because you don't want to go in and just be like straight into the Excel sheets, right? You want to be you want to be a little bit more hands-on and really get that framework and that foundation so you can understand everything going forward.
Yeah, thank you so much, Billy, for all your insights. We really have enjoyed having you on the podcast today.
It's been good fun.
Yeah, and I guess our final question for you today is, when a student's looking at wherever they want to go to school, what do you suggest to them about coming to Purdue Engineering, whether that be the Indianapolis campus or West Lafayette's campus?
I love the culture. It has been really inviting. I love that. It's particular. I haven't spent a lot of time in West Lafayette, but the time I have, it's pretty special. I've never seen so much of school pride between both campuses. So that's what I really loved about
Everyone's Purdue. Wearing a Purdue shirt.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's wearing a Purdue shirt. You hear about the traditions, the different spots, and I really love that. And then Indianapolis in particular, I love that I can travel. I'm sort of in the central. I'm in the city. It just gives me options for getting involved on campus, but also elements off campus as well. And I guess one final point, West Lafayette doesn't offer motorsport engineering just yet. So, for what I'm doing with both mechanical and motorsport, I feel that I'm getting the best of the both worlds.
Yeah, and you're doing a dual degree with that, right?
Yeah.
You want to touch on that for a sec?
Yeah, for sure. So, it's like I mentioned, about 30 credit hours difference between a mechanical and a motorsport, which is 15.
Another
15,
year, essentially.
Another year, exactly. Another year. So, I'm taking part in that. So. At this stage, a lot of the classes, I'm seeing a lot of the same faces in a lot of the classes, but it'll sort of start to separate in those last 2 or 3 semesters. So you have a few more motorsport specific classes, few mechanical specific classes, and my philosophy was the motorsport engineering degree in the United States is pretty sought after, highly recognized. But being an international student, it just gives me a little bit more flexibility. Whether everybody knows Purdue.
Everyone knows mechanical engineering and Purdue engineering.
Exactly. I just say I go to the same school as Neil Armstrong, and that tends to get a response. So that's sort of my philosophy. Whether I had to go back to New Zealand, Australia, travel a little bit more that mechanical, just and whether I want to be in motorsport forever, it just gives me a little bit of flexibility on going out into sort of more general industry.
Yeah, cool. And then that's like a 5-year program, right?
Yeah, 5-year program. It's it's moved around a little bit, but my understanding is you sort of apply to be in that after your first year. So you go in as one or the other, and then at the end of your first year, you sort of let your advisor know very early on that that's something you want to do, and they'll get things sorted for you, and get started, right?
Yeah, awesome. Sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, that concludes this week's episode. Thanks again for taking the time, Billy. We appreciate it. And as always, please reach out to the Office of Future Engineers if you have any further questions.
Yep, and we will see you guys next week.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
That was great.
Yeah. Awesome.